How good is that?
Hit it.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, March 24th, 2013. Time for your Gitmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 498.
This is No Agenda.
Enjoying the new ice age here at the Travis Heights Hideout, where SoCo meets Mofo in the capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from hazy northern Silicon Valley, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Sorry, I kind of stepped on your Dvorak there.
I noticed that.
Well, it's because you want
We're getting killed here.
Well, here, of course.
Dvorak.org/NA, please.
Time for our segment.
You slaves can get used to mac and cheese. Cheap macaroni and cheap cheddar melted together.
Mac and cheese. So I don't know what it is. Somehow we ride on the consciousness of the universe, but and maybe it is because we bought a 3-speed bike and now you see 3-speed bikes riding around everywhere. But I just can't get away from it now.
Oprah Winfrey opens up about the time she was depressed and scarfed down 30 pounds of mac and cheese.
Okay, so that's
Yum.
Oprah Winfrey. But now, if we had a story about mac and cheese in a cup, in a mug on NPR on Thursday, but they're not stopping. Oh, no.
Let's return to something we've been chewing on from an earlier story in our On the Run series. In Monday's report, Araceli Flores made this observation.
I could buy a box of macaroni and cheese for $1. A bunch of bananas will cost me over $1. Strawberries are $4. A bag of apples is going to cost me $5. I mean, way more pricier to buy vegetables and fruits than it is to buy boxed food.
Yes, it's true.
The guy you heard at the end there is Barry Popkin. He's a nutritionist and economist at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. He explained why that's true.
Now, notice in this report, you will not hear anyone say it's probably better to eat the fruit.
Than a box. This isn't even real cheese. This is the cheapest of classic garbage.
Well, here it is.
We have a processed packaged food industry which is enormously efficient. It takes a little bit of wheat. It takes a little bit of artificial cheese. It uses lots of chemicals, flavors, and it makes these magical, tasty foods.
Dinner!
How is this guy a spokesman?
Well, he's the nutritionist.
I don't really understand him through his lisp.
Well, he's going to tell you why this is so much better to have some wheat, some artificial cheese, and some chemicals.
He's going to defend this?
Kind of.
That are very inexpensive.
It's inexpensive.
Popkin says mac and cheese also beats out fresh food when you factor in other costs to the consumer like labor and time.
So here it is, time.
You kidding me?
No.
This would have been a clip of the day if you didn't have the Maxine Waters clip.
But this is the NPR telling you that it's obvious why we like mac and cheese and why we want more of it.
People should be ashamed of themselves.
So it's only $1, and you can't even get a banana for $1.
The time it takes to cook a mac and cheese is very short.
It cooks in the microwave.
And it fills you up.
It fills you up.
Time it takes to cut up the strawberries, to cut up the fruit, to make it easy. It adds time.
It takes so long.
Time. You're eating mac and cheese. You got nothing but time on your hands. You're kidding.
I got no time to cut the strawberry. Give me
Man, I got to eat mac and cheese and get out of here.
I'm in a hurry. I'll eat it in the car, honey.
The other side is getting it from the farmer all the way through to the store, keeping it looking good and not having it spoiled. Takes a lot of refrigeration, takes a lot of complex steps that are very expensive.
He says another factor is a long history of government subsidies for food production, but not so much for fruits and veggies.
Oh, she said it too. Veggies. Screw your veggies, slave. Have your
veggies. I got veggies here.
Screw your veggies. Have your mac and cheese. You're in a hurry. Get to your work. Eat your mac and cheese in a mug on the way. Well, there is solace.
This is becoming a regular show report.
Yes,
the mac and cheese report.
The mac and cheese report.
We need a jingle.
We totally would. Oh, Sir Jeff Smith, where's our mac and cheese report? Well, we need to make it a little different than just mac and cheese report. It has to be living the life of, like Thug Life, like Tupac Thug Life. It'd be like mac and cheese life. You know what I mean? It's like something like that.
Life at mac and cheese.
So just when you thought...
What an idiot. That was the worst example of anything I've ever heard from NPR.
Oh.
And people listen to this as it's some sort of national treasure.
Yeah.
It's a humiliation.
Yeah.
It's shameful.
Yay! Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, November 12th, 2015 time. Once again for your Gitmo Nation Media Assassination episode 773.
This is No Agenda.
Preparing for the deportation forces and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in FEMA Region 6, Austin, Texas. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I just saw the California Zephyr slide by, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Was it dirty?
Actually, it was.
The Zephyr? Yeah. It was a pretty big story in Australians, news.com.au. A former climate modeler for the government's Australian greenhouse office with 6 degrees in applied mathematics, Dr. Evans has unpacked the architecture of the basic climate model which underpins all climate science. I believe the guy has standing if you have 6 degrees in applied mathematics. And he was a climate modeler for the Australian greenhouse. So this is the guy under the hood of the climate models.
One of those, modeler.
He has fixed 2 errors, and the newly corrected model finds the climate sensitivity to carbon dioxide is much lower than was thought. Ooh.
Stop. Don't tell anybody this.
It turns out the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has overestimated future global warming by as much as 10 times. Yes, he says CO2 has an effect, but it's about a fifth or maybe even a tenth of what the IPCC says it is. CO2 is not driving the climate. It caused less than 20% of the global warming in the last few decades. Dr. Evans says his discovery ought to change the world. Yes, it will, because you will be removed from it, Dr. Evans.
Yes, you will be executed in the morning.
It will change your world for sure, sir. His discovery explains why none of the climate models used by the IPCC reflect the evidence of recorded temperatures. The models have...
the tide, by the way, and I can do a tide check.
Oh, hold on a second. I'd love to have a tide check. Let's hold on a second. Oh, here we go.
Because of what's happening in Greenland right now, the maps of the world will have to be redrawn. This is what would happen to San Francisco Bay.
Look out your window, baby! John C. Dvorak with the tide check on global warming, climate change. Looking out the window. What do you see?
I'm looking at the San Francisco Bay right from my window, and I can see the mud flats.
Yes.
At the zero sea level freeway going by, and the mud is still there.
Because
There's no
what's
water
happening in Greenland right now, the maps of the world will have to be redrawn. This is what would happen to San Francisco Bay.
Look out the window, baby! Thank you, John. Thank you, John. We're still safe.
At least for a couple more shows.
So the new and improved climate model shows CO2 is not the culprit in recent global warming, but what is? Dr. Evans has a theory. Solar activity, what he calls albedo modulation, the waxing and waning of reflected radiation from the sun, is likely the cause of global warming. Wow, Captain Obvious.
Wow. I think that we've heard this before.
He predicts global temperatures.
It can't be the sun.
He predicts global temperatures, which have plateaued, will begin to cool significantly beginning between 2017 and 2021. The cooling will be about 0.3 degrees centigrade in the 2020s. Some scientists have even forecast a mini ice age. If Dr. Evans is correct, then he has proven the theory on carbon dioxide wrong and blown a hole in climate alarmism. Well, we'll see.
Well,
but he's one of the modelers. That's what I like about this story. That is a little different.
That's why. So where'd you get that story?
I told you it's from news.com.au from the Australia. It's a Murdoch property.
It's from Australia.
Yeah. Well, the guy is from Australia. He was on the Australian government's greenhouse office.
Who's picked up this story in the United States? Has any of the 3 networks? Well, I can attest that they haven't. But as AP or Reuters?
Let me find out. Hold on.
Let's take a look.
Okay, let's see. His name is Dr. What was his name? Dr. David Evans. So let's take a look.
Okay. Too many David Evanses out there.
Well, Dr. David Evans, let's see what pops up.
When he has all these degrees, shouldn't it be Dr. David?
I don't know. But there are a lot of dentists named Dr. Evans.
It's a very common dental name.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. SkepticalScience.com. Climate misinformer. Okay. That's the top link.
Climate misinformer? So
yes.
the guy's full of crap? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah. Here is a list. Climate misinformer, David Evans. Below are many of the climate myths used by David Evans, plus how often each myth has been used.
Oh, he's a serial myth maker.
That, and he's a damn denier.
Don't be a denier. The science is in.
Science!
So in other words, this is not being covered.
Watching the Deniers, another cool website. Are we on that? We should be on Watching the Deniers.
No, we're too low end.
But who else is on Watching the?
We're not. I don't think we're official deniers. We're mockers.
Well, we don't deny that climate changes. We just we're mockers. There you go.
Yeah, climate mockers.
Well, not a single person has picked this up in the United States, even to call him a mainstream. That is, even to call him a denier.
That's the way it's going to be. Only on the No Agenda show can you get this obscure information.
That's right.
Which allows you to have to get into arguments with your friends.
Yes.
We're all in. It turns out that the Taj Mahal is being inundated with so much air pollution in that part of India that they're trying to clean it, and they figure it's going to take 10 years, and they use some sort of mud process. But I just thought this report had a kind of a funny kicker.
The Taj Mahal. In recent years, authorities have taken steps to protect the 17th century monument from pollution coming from the nearby city Agra. Measures have included banning local coal-power industries and a local ban on the common practice of burning cow dung for fuel.
I bet you that smells terrific.
You know what the answer is? You know what burns hotter than coal and is a
cow dung?
Even better than that. There is a natural substance which, when burned, is fabulous.
Okay,
and hemp.
Hemp?
Yeah, hemp burns hotter than coal.
I don't believe that.
Okay.
I would like, if you show me some documentation to prove that. I don't believe it. Coal is, when it's burning, it is unbelievably hot. It can be used to create, that's what they used to use in making steel.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's find out. What is the,
and hemp, which is a marijuana plant, not necessarily with any chemicals in it, but I'm not buying it.
Now, I'll tell you where I got this. I'll tell you where I got this from, that I could be wrong, but this is something that stuck in my head since 1990. And of course, I was stoned. But 1990, I did a documentary in Jamaica.
Man, it burns hotter, man.
It's exactly the one. I did a documentary in Jamaica, and part of that was going to old Hope Road, which is where Bob Marley's house is, and his best friend. What is his best friend? Best friend Bob Marley, who runs the museum there. I can't remember his name, but he's sitting there. We're doing the interview, and he's smoking a fat doobie, and he's passing it to me, and it was pretty funny because essentially we're both baked during this interview, and they says, "You know what it is, man? This hemp burn hotter than coal. It is hotter than coal. It is much better," and it's always stuck with me. So I'll research it.
You don't need to research it for long.
I'm going to research it. It's hotter than coal, man.
It's funny to bring it in, though.
Past the Dutchie.
It makes no sense at all.
It does. It is a good fuel, though. You can use it for fuel.
Oh, you can burn it. You can burn cow dung for.
Well, apparently, yeah.
Hotter than coal.
well, hey,
It's another show title.
All right, let's go.
All major media outlets receive most or all of their financial support from sponsors, underwriters, and advertisers. As such, their coverage and analysis of news and current events is tainted by the interests of the supporting organizations and corporations. The No Agenda Show is 100% user-supported. This value-for-value model allows your hosts, Adam and John, to provide true analysis and deconstruction of the media, government, and economy in ways that other forms of mass media cannot. Simply put, the No Agenda Show is, quite possibly, the only truly journalistic news outlet in existence today. Please visit noagendashow.com for the latest episode.
Who came up with this idea?
For all I know, the Sierra Club.
The science is in. Science!
Which brings me to the president of the Sierra Club. This is something I've been holding on to for a couple weeks because it was Ted Cruz at a hearing with the president of the Sierra Club about anthropogenic climate change, global warming.
It was actually AGW, so it'd be anthropogenic global warming.
Yeah. But man-made climate change. And I have shortened 9 minutes down to 2. But really, you need to, and it's in the show notes, we have the full video. You really need to do yourself a favor to watch the entire video. For what Senator Cruz is doing is he is trying to get the president of the Sierra Club. Now, give us the background of the Sierra Club, John.
Well, the Sierra Club goes way back to, I think you can look this up while I'm saying this on Wikipedia. I think to the 1800s. It was about preserving the trees in the western areas, and
right.
I think it had even some influence in the picking national parks. I think
what the Sierra Club does these days.
But I'm not an expert on this. I'm just ad-libbing.
Right. Well, they spend a lot of. They're huge. It's a huge nonprofit. Hundreds of millions of dollars.
It became a generalized conservation, climate, whatever is popular. It became kind of a left-wing operation.
And they sue anyone who wants to open a new gas-fired plant or probably even nuclear facilities. They sue them. They're a lobbying group and try to stop anything except their agenda. And so Senator Cruz says the essence of this little piece I'm going to play first is him saying, hey, we had this stop. Do you agree that the temperatures didn't go up, and we call it the pause? And the president of the Sierra Club, who cannot speak for more than 30 seconds without turning around and talking to his lawyers in the background. Well, here's the exchange.
Is it correct?
Wait, hold on. Stop. Is this at a hearing?
Yes, at a hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, at a hearing. You need to see the full thing to really appreciate it, but this just gives you a general idea of how it went down.
Is it correct that the satellite data over the last 18 years demonstrate no significant warming?
No.
How is it incorrect?
Based upon our experts, it's been refuted long ago, and it's not up for scientific debate.
I'm curious if so. It's
what? The president of the Sierra Club says it's not up for scientific debate.
Shut up, slave.
I want to understand this. I do find it highly interesting that the president of the Sierra Club, when asked what the satellite data demonstrate about warming, apparently is relying on staff. So
whisper.
The nice thing about the satellite data is these are objective numbers.
Correct.
And the numbers over the last 18 years, are you familiar with the phrase "the pause"?
I left all this.
Wait, hold on. He has to ask his lawyer if he's familiar with the phrase "pause."
Yes. Every question, I left that in. Every question he has to confer with his lawyers.
The answer is yes, and essentially we rest on our position.
And to what you said, you are familiar with the pause. So to what does the phrase "the pause" refer? I'm sorry, you said you were familiar with that term, so I asked to what does it refer?
Essentially, it's the slowing in global warming during the 40s, sir.
During the 40s?
During the 40s. Is it not the term that global warming alarmists have used to explain?
I think it's too bad that Cruz does that. But that weakens his argument when he says global warming alarm. He should not do that. That is just being a dick.
Yeah, no, he should not do that.
That's not a good idea.
During the 40s. Is it not the term that global warming alarmists have used to explain the inconvenient truth, to use a phrase popularized by former Vice President Al Gore, that the satellite data over the last 18 years demonstrate no significant warming whatsoever. Global warming alarmists call that the pause because the computer models say there should be dramatic warming, and yet the actual satellites taking the measurement don't show any significant warming.
But, Senator, 97% of the scientists concur and agree that there is global warming and anthropogenic impact with regards to global.
The problem with that statistic that gets cited a lot is it's based on one bogus study.
Bogus.
And indeed, your response, I would point that your response is quite striking. I asked about the science and the evidence, the actual data. We have satellites. They're measuring temperature. That should be relevant. And your answer was, pay no attention to your lying eyes and the numbers that the satellites show. Instead, listen to the scientists who are receiving massive grants who tell us, do not debate the science.
All right. So the whole exchange is funny. It's just long and drawn out because the guy keeps denying it and keeps holding on to the 97% number. Cruz actually wrapped this up on a news show. I don't remember which one it was. With two little nuggets here.
He couldn't answer the most basic fact that for the last 18 years, the satellite data showed no significant warming whatsoever. Correct. He had no idea about that. He turned to his aides every minute or two. And, you know, part of the reason he didn't know the facts? Because climate change is not science. It's religion. Look at the language where they call you a denier. Denier is not the language of science. Look, I'm the child of two scientists. My parents are both mathematicians, computer programmers. My dad was a self-taught geophysicist. The essence of the scientific method is to start with a hypothesis and then look to evidence to disprove the hypothesis. You're not trying to prove it. You're trying to disprove it. Any good scientist is a skeptic. If he's not, he or she should not be a scientist. But yet the language of the global warming alarmists, denier, is the language of religion. It's heretic. You are a blasphemer. The response from the Sierra Club, we have decreed this is the answer. You must accept it. And so he didn't know his facts because he just knew his religion.
I think that's a good point.
Yeah, actually, I've been totally in on this religion idea for some time. And I think the climate, this whole AGW thing is a complete and total religion. And next show, I'll bring up I actually wrote a little thing up on this. Point by point, this is a religion. I mean, they have their Bible, which is the IPCC
report. Yeah.
That is the Bible. Mm-hmm. They have their saints. That would be like Al Gore.
Yeah.
And Gina
McCarthy. Character. Well, the Pachauri guy, he got excommunicated.
Yes, he did, but Hansen, that Hansen guy from NASA, is the other one of the other saints, and you can name the saints. And it's an extremely religious, and they hate anyone who criticizes them. They're worse than the Scientologists, for that matter.
But the word denier, that's what I really picked up on. Cruz is so right in that. That is not a term of science.
No, none of it is. The whole thing is a religion. And most of the people that are in it are not religious people, which I think accounts for a little bit of the politics of it, where you have all the climate people, the climate warmists, or whatever we want to call them.
Yeah.
Very few of them are Christian, if any. But people, I believe a lot of people have this need for religion at some level, shape, or form.
Sure,
they just need faith in something.
Yes.
And so you see a very big schism between actual Christians in this country and people that are all in on global warming. They're just not, because that is their religion, and these Christians already have a religion.
Yep.
I've got my religion. I don't need this religion.
Good point.
And so you have that schism, and then you have the Republican-Democrat thing, which is, again, if there are two groups, you want to sum them up. You'd have the Democrats as more anti-religious, more atheists are in the Democrat Party than there are in the Republican Party. That's just the way it turned out. And the Democrats are all in on global warming, and the Republicans are all, if anybody doesn't see this as political, when you see one party pretty much all in and the other party pretty much all out, you can stay on the other side, on the warmest side, and say, Well, they're just stupid. They don't, but what they're really saying is that they don't have any faith.
Yeah.
If you use all the religious arguments against them, they're sinners. The Republicans are sinners for not doing this, being part of our religion, which is a cult of sorts.
You know what saddens? Do you know what saddens me? When this chapter in world history is written, and people see what happened here, because this will eventually, be written up as one of the largest scams in history. What's unfortunate is we'll be dead. We won't be around to gloat. That's what I'm sad
I'm
about.
really not interested in gloating. I use a lot of these things as a point, and with other things too, not just this. But there's a point of ignorance that is like, why are you all in on this?
Yeah.
You have really no clue about how any of the mechanisms work, but you're all in.
Yeah.
I had guys say, you don't believe in this? And it's always believe in.
Yeah,
They use
believe.
that
You're
word,
right.
by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
You don't believe in global warming.
Yeah, good point.
I don't believe in global warming.
Good point.
And that's a religious term.
Yeah.
So it's a bit massive religion. And we have the people who condemn us for being critical of this. That are some of our listeners. There's not that many, but there's a number of them. They write in.
Yeah.
Well, I like everything you talk about the government, this and that, but I disagree with your opinions about global warming. And it also has elements of doomsday. Yeah. All religions have a doomsday
scenario. Yeah.
And the Revelations has it for the Christians.
If we don't do the right thing, we're all going to die.
We're all going to die, and we're all going to be doomed.
And may I point out, the rapture includes huge floods from the sea. Could it get any more religious?
Very similar.
The earth will open up and swallow you.
Yeah, we're all going to die. We're going to get burned to death, and we're going to get cooked. And in a hell, it's like a hell, of course, because you're sinners. And it's a point-for-point religion. That's absolutely true.
Before we move on to that, because I do want to talk about that, Andrea Mitchell took advantage of the opportunity to talk to John Kerry about, climate change.
You have a leading Republican candidate who tweeted out that on the first day of fall, the first cold weather, that this was proof that we need more global warming. You have Republican candidates. Republican candidates are not only silent on the subject, they are climate deniers.
But when I hear a United States senator say, I'm not a scientist, so I can't make a judgment, or a candidate for president for that matter, I'm absolutely astounded. It's incomprehensible that a grown-up who has been to high school and college in the United States of America.
Well, I haven't had college, so I can say whatever I want.
Disqualifies themselves because they're not a scientist when they've learned that the Earth rotates on its axis, but they're not a scientist. It seems to me that they disqualify themselves fundamentally from high public office with those kinds of statements. And I think the American people will decide that this year, because the American people are overwhelmingly in favor of doing something about climate change.
Did you say Heil Hitler?
That's what I said.
The science is in.
Science! My goodness. We are in such trouble.
It's horrible. Yeah. We're doomed.
We really are. And that's like this. Now, I think we discussed it briefly. It's been in the show notes for the past 3 weeks.
Which is what?
This group of scientists who have filed a complaint saying they would like global climate change warming denialists to be charged and jailed under the RICO Act.
How did I miss this?
Well, you know what? In the car on channel 127, Progressive on Sirius XM, which is my new favorite channel to listen to, filled with hate, I might add.
Oh, yeah, I've heard this station.
It's just hate.
Yeah.
These
they
Republican
hate
a-holes.
They hate churchgoers. Oh. They hate Republicans. They really hate libertarians, by the way.
Yeah. It is the most bigoted channel I've ever heard. It truly is. You can disagree, but the hate and just, they're baby killer. They say babies to kill them. They're warmongers. They're crazy nut jobs, right wing, everything, every name under the sun. But who is also on this channel with this radio show is a good friend of yours, Thom Hartmann.
Oh, yeah, he'd be on there.
And Thom dove into this. Typical moron. Here he is explaining how the RICO Act would work in this case.
You will recall back in 1999, when the tobacco industry was telling us, don't worry, doesn't cause cancer, not addictive, there's no there. The federal government commenced a prosecution under the Racketeering, Influenced, and Corrupt Organizations Act, RICO. It was a RICO action. It was filed in 1999. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse right now is suggesting that this should be done again, only in this case, not into the tobacco companies. He says in 1999, the Justice Department filed a civil RICO lawsuit against the major tobacco companies, alleging that the companies engaged in and executed and contribute to engage in and execute a massive 50-year scheme to defraud the public, including consumers of cigarettes, in violation of RICO. 20 scientists now have signed a paper saying, quote,
I think that's 97%, actually, of all scientists.
We strongly endorse Senator Whitehouse's call for a RICO investigation of climate deniers. The methods of these organizations are quite similar to those used earlier by the tobacco industry. A RICO investigation played an important role in stopping the tobacco industry from continuing to deceive the American people about the dangers of smoking.
So this is, and I'll have to give an A credit for the creative, for creativity in general. It's a funny idea to do this. And so Thom gets some guy from... Of
course, Thom, it must be a real proponent of freedom of speech, right?
Well, this comes up as he talks to a global, a guy who's from some organization. I forget what it is. It's unimportant. Some organization who is obviously trying to debunk global warming, and I'm sure he's being paid to the handsome tune. His organization gets like $1 million. And yeah, it's $1 million.
Millions of dollars from the oil company.
No, I'm sorry, but billions come in from the National Institute of Health and other grants if you're going to prove that global warming is real. So anyway, he gets this guy on.
Paul Dreesen, Senior Policy Analyst with Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow, CFACT, CFACT.org is the
Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow. Very nice.
The website. A climate change denying website is on the line with us. Paul, why should you not be in jail? I mean that as a serious question.
I'm serious. Why shouldn't you be in jail, dude?
He actually means it as a serious question.
He does.
You're taking money to deceive the public in a way that's killing people. You and your cronies. I'm looking at your
and your cronies
IRS form here, and it says that last year you guys took in $1,977,332. The year before that is $5,501,222. Presumably for the purpose of promoting the interests of the fossil fuel industry, which is heavily subsidized to the tune of over $5 trillion worldwide, maintaining...
Now, I want to say something. We need to debunk this again. This heavily subsidized, now worldwide I can't speak to, but in the United States, there is a tax break that has been around for a long time.
It's called the oil depletion allowance.
Is that the one we're talking about? The one I'm talking about is... If you produce something in America, if you produce or transit something in America, then you get certain tax breaks for that. We've talked
about the real big numbers are the oil depletion allowances.
Explain oil depletion.
You have invested. It's like an inventory. You buy something. It's like just like any business, you have a fixed a bunch of Caterpillar tractors. And you over time they become worth less and less and less, and then they're worthless.
Right, you're writing them down.
That is reflected in the way you handle your taxes. You get to write.
You get to write stuff down. Right. So they get to write down their inventory.
Yeah.
Okay, but Apple gets to do it too.
Everybody gets to do it.
Exactly. So
the oil companies are getting no special treatment.
It's what you would call a specious argument.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. So it's bullshit.
Heavily subsidized to the tune of over $5 trillion worldwide, maintaining those subsidies and trashing, renewable power. And I think,
it's not
frankly,
a subsidy.
It's not a subsidy, indeed.
People who do that should be in jail.
And he means it. Be in jail, you.
Well, that's a nice sentence.
So why should you not be in jail?
The federal government to silence debate and First Amendment freedom of speech.
I am talking about racketeering, influenced...
Actually.
Organized crime.
Tom, is going on by the climate.
Sir, I am calling you a criminal. Are you not going to respond to that?
So the guy's a criminal.
Well, there's grounds for a libel right there.
Yes.
I think the guy should sue Hartman right there, right on the spot.
I hope he doesn't. I'd hate to lose Thom.
I think he should be He's the one who should be in jail.
Well, here's the final bit from this.
He's libeled the guy.
Oh yeah, from this conversation,
or slandered in this case.
Where now we've discussed the German Energiewende. When Germany said, you know what, we're getting rid of nuclear, we're all going to go solar, we're going to go wind, and then within a year or two, German industry went to Herr Merkel and said, yo, Angie, baby, we can't do this. This is costing us too much. We're dying over here. So now they've turned this around silently, and they're building as much as they can of coal. There's a huge new coal plant, huge. Yeah. But I think it's a $2 trillion coal plant that they're going to open up because they can. And of course, now they may not need it anymore now that they're engineering.
It's not $2 trillion.
Nah, you're right. It's probably $2 billion.
No, it's more than that.
It's huge. It's
whatever the case. When I said that, modern coal burning technology, the crazy, whatever that bed technology, there's a lot of new technologies for burning coal that are extremely clean.
Yes. But Thom has been on a train in Germany. He was only, 50 years too late to get on the good train, Thom. And this is what he says.
I took a train across Germany a week ago yesterday, and all the way across, every other household is covered with solar panels. There are farms of solar panels. There are farms of windmills that you can see on the train from Würzburg to Frankfurt, and very easily. I mean, all over the country.
I've been there myself.
More than half of all the electricity consumed by Germany was generated by these renewables.
Okay. Now let's listen. Let's put this subsidy back in your face, Thom.
Wind and solar exclusively.
And they're paying 80 cents in unsubsidized electricity rates. They're paying 80 cents a kilowatt hour, which is 10 times what Americans are paying in states that are reliant still on coal. They're paying 5 times more than Americans are paying in those states.
They are not building new nuclear power
electricity. They're paying.
Paul, I don't believe your numbers. Paul, you are a professional climate change denier. You are paid to lie to people.
But it's true. It's the subsidies that make it work, and the guy is right. I'm sure his numbers are provable. But yeah, that's the kilowatt hour price, and they're being subsidized in order to be able to do that. I'll say, in West Texas, there's a lot of big windmills, but they're in the right place. Oh man, I bet my trailer was all over the road. This is just wind whipping up. Wyoming, put more windmills in. Sure, that's
North
great.
Dakota.
Oh, it's fabulous.
I was told.
But not in everybody's house. That's not going to work. You might as well have Elon Musk run the world. Oh, it'll work. Trust my battery.
I did a interview once with I can't remember his name, but it was the father of modern wind power. And
William Mill.
Sorry?
William Mill. It was not good the first time I said it. Don't worry.
He said that the state of North Dakota could power the entire country.
That
with
could
wind.
Be. Could be.
Yeah, could be.
It could be. Proportions.
And I think you point out the thing that's not discussed as much, which is winter's coming.
Yes.
And it already looks like a harsh winter if the German reports are correct.
Well, wait a minute. I thought we have global warming.
Global warming is not weather.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's because of global
warming. I have
warming.
My checklist of excuses.
It's because of global warming. I remember. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's snowing because of global warming.
Well, John, you've already looked out the window. You've given us the mudflats update, but unfortunately, for Miami and New Orleans, it's too late. You're all going to drown. You're all going to die.
We might be saying goodbye to Miami, New Orleans, and basically the entire U.S. coast, according to a new study. Published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, the study looked at the impact of carbon emissions on coastal cities and calculated when it would be too late to save those cities by cutting emissions.
Hold on. Stop.
I'm stopping. Hold on a second.
Stop the show.
Still stop.
How come every year, every 5 years, every 10 years, every 20 years, and we can probably find literature from the 90s, there are these points where if we don't do something today, it will be too late. The tipping point was in 95. The tipping point was in 97. The tipping point was when that movie came out. The tipping points. Now there's another tipping point? Is that what I'm hearing?
I guess so. We're past it. We're past the tipping point.
Oh, well, then what difference does it make? At this point, what difference does it make?
Of carbon emissions on coastal cities and calculated when it would be too late to save those cities by cutting emissions. These coastal doomsday predictions are nothing new. There have been many sea level studies, and scientists generally project the sea level will rise 4 to 6 meters by the year 2100. But this study stresses lock-in dates for each city, a kind of climate deadline where if emissions aren't drastically cut back by a certain year, at least part of that city is going underwater. Miami and New Orleans have already passed their lock-in dates. Meanwhile, New York has until 2095, and Sacramento has until 2050.
We're all gonna die! What? Did she say Sacramento?
I mean, listen, I don't know. She might have.
Miami and New Orleans have already passed their lock-in dates. Meanwhile, New York has until 2095, and Sacramento has until 2050.
Yeah. Sacramento.
So, wait, 2050?
Yeah.
Are they claiming that in 2050 Sacramento is going to be flooded?
I think they're saying that the turnaround date, you have to have fixed it by 2050.
And now they're telling us we're going to get 4 to 6 meters.
Meters? Oh, yes.
That's like 18 feet.
Yeah, we're dead. I'm going to have beachfront property here in Austin. It's going to be great. I'll be looking out. I'm going to have
These people even know what 6 meters means. They think centimeters. I mean, what are they? Or inches? I mean, I get the sense they read these reports about Sacramento, which is nowhere near the ocean. It's like, I don't know, 45 miles in.
What is the altitude of Sacramento?
I don't know what the altitude is, but it's kind of beside the point when you're 45 miles away with a mountain range in front of you.
I guess they didn't look at the map. How high up is Sacramento? Sacramento has an elevation of 13 feet. Oh, you're dead. You're dead in the water.
Oh, you're doomed.
You're doomed because it's going to be 8 meters. You're dead. To wind out this segment, CNN has a special division. Now, you know, CNN has a digital division, and they produce things for profit. You know, little news articles, most of it for the web. And one of them is it's called 2 Degrees. CNN has this whole section of their website called 2 Degrees, and it's run by a guy named John D. Sutter, who is, of course, opinion columnist, Livingston Award, Batten Medal, rooting for the world's underdogs, current focus, 2 Degrees, hashtag 2 Degrees. So CNN has this whole division, which is paid, presumably, to propagate climate change denial as bad. And this guy, he finally did it. You know, finally they have the solution.
Here at Snow's Barbecue, in the heart of Texas beef country.
By the way, this is also a Texans, particularly the ones in Central Texas, are dumb.
Of course.
Dumb a-holes. Just so you know, we're dumb a-holes here. What? Shit, I never heard of the war, man.
You order meat by the pound.
Meat by the pound. Meat.
I want this.
But did you know eating about half a kilo of beef has the same effect on global warming as driving a car more than 100 kilometers? Why is that?
Not more of this bull crap.
It's important to listen to it, John. It's important. We have to deconstruct.
Oh, we buy meat by the pound.
Oh, yeah.
Really? You buy it by the pound?
Well, so what you do is you take your little camera crew and you go talk to some guys raising cattle, and you make them look like dumb a-holes who are ruining the world.
Kilometers. Why is that? Well, it's because cows, like all grass eaters, burp out methane as they digest food.
So we've gone from farts to burps. Now, this is something I did not know. I think I've been educated here.
There has been, by the way, I have heard this discrepancy myself. I don't know if I've ever seen a cow burp.
Well, you don't. Here's
I guess they just kind of do this subtle burp through their nose.
Here's the lesson.
It's because cows, like all grass eaters, burp out methane as they digest food. And methane, it's a potent greenhouse gas. 25 times as powerful as carbon dioxide. Was it because of concerns about climate change?
That's part of it.
So you all are essentially measuring cow burps here, right?
That's one way of putting it. We call it eruptation.
Eruptation, John. This is an eruptation.
Cattle are very polite. They don't burp out loud. They produce gas in their stomach, but that gas comes up and then it goes back into the lungs, then is breathed out through the nostrils.
Aha. You're right, John. You're right.
Just as we would.
And these eruptations or burps are counted as greenhouse gas pollution,
Yes,
right?
well, that's what has methane in it. The methane and carbon dioxide.
An average cow in North America, it emits a whopping 53 kilograms of this stuff per year.
Woo.
But this isn't all about burps.
Oh.
The other reason meat is such a climate villain.
Climate villain, John. Write it down. Woo. Write it down. Climate villain.
Title.
Climate villain.
Is that it takes lots of resources to grow food for cattle. In the United States, most cattle are fattened up on a diet of corn. And the fertilizer used to grow...
That's not true, by the way, but okay.
That corn releases nitrous oxide, which is 300 times as powerful as CO2.
You mean what comes out of the Volkswagen that all you greenies bought?
That's right.
But all of that's invisible on a Texas cattle ranch. Do people here worry about climate change at all?
You ready? Well, I'm just a resident.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. We just like God and country and our guns.
As much as they may in the cities and all, but there may be some sort of...
The cities and all, y'all from Big Smoke up there in the cities.
I mean, you hear it a good bit. There may be some effect on them, but no, we don't worry about it.
No.
So the scientists I've talked to say it's about 15% of global emissions are from livestock production overall.
That's news to me. And
They got the right guy, didn't they? Well, that's news to me. I haven't been watching the TV.
The most in 13 years.
That was news to me, too. Not many people seem to be talking about beef's role in global warming.
No.
People are going to eat what they want to eat. Everybody here in Central Texas goes for beef.
That's right. We're stupid down here. We're stupid. We're killing the world just with our stupidity.
Just a little bit. It's not just Texas. Global demand for beef is only going up.
Hell yeah.
And it doesn't have to be this way. Maybe we should take a cue from Snow's.
Snow's.
This restaurant, it turns out, is only open one day a week.
Oh, okay.
If the rest of us ate beef that often, research shows we'd be helping our climate instead of hurting it.
Yeah, and you won't have much of a business, but, okay, it's a great idea.
One day a week.
John, would you please tell me, I need to have a global warming report.
Oh, you mean, yeah, let me check. Well, my report is really about the tides.
Well, hold on. I want a report, and we have a jingle for your report.
Because of what's happening in Greenland right now, the maps of the world will have to be redrawn. This is what would happen to San Francisco Bay.
Look out your window, baby. How we doing, John?
Well, he's got the San Francisco Bay. I can see the bay from my house.
Oh.
Including an area right out here by the freeway at zero sea level.
Yes,
and it is. Not only are the mud flats available to jump into and get muddy, which means nothing's happened, but there's actually a bunch of green growing there right now from the recent rain, I think, or something. I don't know why. I never noticed so much green. It looks like the sea level is dropping.
No, this is your official report?
It's today's report.
It can really get unbearable. What's a mother of five supposed to do?
There's bears in the pool!
Because of what's happening in Greenland right now, the maps of the world will have to be redrawn. This is what would happen to San Francisco Bay.
Look out your window! Oh, baby! We're all going to die. Well, not yet, then, apparently.
I think this is bullcrap.
Of course it's bullcrap. The big news that came from NASA was the announcement that the Antarctic ice sheet is growing instead of shrinking, as has been continuously claimed.
I always thought they were barking up the wrong tree with that phony story.
Well, So the problem is how NASA report. I'm reading directly from NASA.gov. A new NASA study says that an increase in Arctic snow accumulation that began 10,000 years ago is currently adding enough ice to the continent to outweigh the increased losses from its thinning glaciers. The research, this is from NASA, the research challenges the conclusions of other studies, including the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC's 2013 report, which says Antarctica is overall losing land ice. This is surprising to me that NASA would do this.
Somebody didn't pay off somebody.
There's a lip smack for me. I'm sorry. The troubling quote in this, and this again from nasa.gov, you'll find in the show notes, 771.noagendanotes.com. The good news is that Antarctica is not currently contributing to sea level rise, but is taking 0.23 millimeters per year away. But this is also bad news. If the 0.27 millimeters per year of sea level rise attributed to Antarctica in the IPCC report is not really coming from Antarctica, there must be some other contribution to sea level rise that is not accounted for. Oh my! This is NASA.
In the ocean.
This is NASA saying this.
I read that too.
And how does NBC report?
Melting sea ice threatening to send their way of life into extinction.
Earth that's been frozen forever, now melting.
NBC News has spent the past 4 months traveling to the Arctic, which has seen the most sea ice melting in recent years.
Notice they went to the Arctic, not the Antarctic. No report whatsoever on the Antarctic ice. No, only this, and I got some CBS as well.
Since NASA began keeping track in 1978.
The ice that once protected their fragile shoreline from big fall storms is melting.
Those Alaskan glaciers are melting. Scientists say this year alone, the average glacier will lose 30 inches of thickness.
And glaciers kept shrinking. The impact has been dramatic in Greenland.
In recent decades, it's certainly been melting more than is replenished from snowfall, and that's causing sea level to come up.
There you go. They do not report.
Sea level's coming up?
They do not report. Yeah.
Hold on a second.
0.27 millimeters. How do you even measure that? How do you measure that?
The keyword sea levels coming up triggers a thought.
Okay.
I think I should check.
Oh, hold on a second. Yes, this is very good. Hold on. I'm a little off today on the jingles. Let's just pretend you said it again.
See what? Sea levels are rising
in Greenland right now. The maps of the world will have to be redrawn. This is what would happen to San Francisco Bay.
C. Dvorak with a mud flat global warming report.
I'm looking out at the mud flats.
And?
They're still there.
Amen. Fist bump.
Woo! Well, I have a couple of things in this category. Let's start with French climate change author. This, by the way, you have not heard this story anywhere.
I'm pretty sure
the Russians had to report it.
I'm pretty sure we discussed this on this very show a few weeks ago.
About the Russian?
No,
about the guy who got fired?
Yeah, the French guy, the French weatherman.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I guess I wasn't paying attention to that part of the show.
We had this a couple of weeks. I'll play it anyway.
It's funny because they're reporting this as news.
Oh, but while it's playing, I'll find the clip we played.
For now on air, skepticism over climate change has cost one French weatherman his job. He was taken off air after publishing a book where he described, quote, the complete hype on the matter.
Je m'appelle Philippe Verdier, je suis journaliste, présentateur météo à la télévision.
Well, Philippe Verdier's book questioned the causes and consequences of climate change. The author suggested that warmer temperatures could bring benefits, including cheaper energy bills. His comments came just as France prepares to host a major UN conference on climate change later this month that aims to decrease pollution levels. We asked the head of the publishing house what he thinks about the incident.
For me, this incident felt like a crime of opinion, pure and simple.
Crime of opinion.
With this book, we expected
started a controversy, but not a sacking. This demonstrates that there is a real ideological problem in France. At a certain point, we asked Philip about the possible outcomes. We told him that he should protect his interests. Never did he say it's the money that counts.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to play the clip because it said crime of opinion, which I think is a great phrase.
You should definitely write that one down.
I did.
I couldn't find it that quickly. But we played it a couple weeks ago. But I remember you even saying, "Oh my goodness." I think you said, "Oh my goodness." Literally.
I could have said that.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So instead, let's go to listening to Amy, Democracy Now! And
the War and Peace Report, warandpeacereport.com.
The War and Peace Report. I better have this clip here. It might be on the second page. See if there's an Amy Goodman clip on Yemen.
I don't even see Amy here.
Money laundering, Islamist takeover.
Yemen?
Yes, this is a great clip.
Storm in Yemen, is that it?
Yeah, that would be it.
Yeah, okay.
This is a couple of these storms.
War-torn Yemen has been battered by a tropical cyclone, marking the first time in recorded history a tropical storm has ever made landfall there. Parts of Yemen saw as much rain in 24 hours as they usually see in several years. The port city of Mukalla, controlled by al-Qaeda militants, has been particularly hard hit by flooding. Scientists have warned of a link between stronger tropical storms and climate change.
Oh, yes, of course.
She always has to throw that in.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me just start off by Amy Goodman, you're an out-and-out liar. This is the first time that it's tropical storm. I figured I'm going to go look up and find 10 or 20 of them.
Thank you.
I didn't expect to find an entry in the Wikipedia, and I recommend people see this, the 2008 Yemen cyclone, which is what it was called. It hit land. 160 people were killed. It flooded everything.
Now, why does she say that it's never happened?
She says it's never happened before. I'm referencing. Play the clip again because there's a specific. She didn't say it was a tornado, or she specifically said a tropical depression's never hit before.
War-torn Yemen has been battered by a tropical cyclone, marking the first time in recorded history a tropical storm has ever made landfall there. Parts of Yemen saw as much rain in 24 hours as they usually see in several years. The port city of Mukalla, controlled by al-Qaeda militants, has been particularly hard hit by flooding. Scientists have warned of a link between stronger tropical storms and climate change.
On October 24th, 2008, quote, it made landfall on the southeastern coast of Yemen, spelled with a Y, causing severe flooding, leaving about 180 dead. She is full of crap. She should be ashamed of herself. I love the Democracy Now! Show because you get all kinds of news you wouldn't normally get. But I do not expect out-and-out lies. This was in 2008. It wasn't like in the 1700s.
This, John, is borderline.
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 Clip of the day. Climate change. Climate change. It's gonna have to be a different man.
When the ocean rises just this much, this whole area will be underwater.
We're all gonna die.
You gotta get your heads around.
And then finally, CBS Evening News had an interesting report.
Well, this was also the day that government scientists said 14 of the last extreme weather events were made worse by climate change.
I love this. How the hell are you going to prove this one?
Caused by pollution.
Pollution. All right, carbon.
They're always big on science. They don't know what scientific method is. That is not a provable fact.
No.
Examples cited included the 2014 California wildfires and cyclones in Hawaii.
The study found that
write that down. Cyclones in Hawaii. Cyclones in Hawaii.
In Hawaii.
The study found that in 2014, extreme heat waves like the one that gripped South Korea were made worse by human-caused climate change. Things such as car emissions, burning coal and methane gas. The report studied 28 extreme weather events around the world last year. 14 of those, including devastating floods in Australia and New Zealand, were found to be made worse, in part by climate change.
Devastating.
But the impact of human activity can be complex, the report says. This is the fourth year scientists have studied whether human activity is at least partially to blame for extreme weather things such as droughts and wildfires. And over those years, Scott, more than half of the extreme weather events they've studied have been linked to human-caused climate change.
So what I've been doing now that... Wow. Yeah, well, check this out. So what I've been doing since I've expanded my drive, and we want to talk about that in Tech News, I got some thoughts. So I have the archive, the searchable archive of our clips has become a little more searchable. And I'm just going to go back and maybe every show I'll try and bring up one of these segments. This one, I didn't have to go back that far. This is 2014. This is Joy Reid from MSNBC when we had a very, very cold winter. You recall it was, this I think may have even been around the time when was a whole bunch of CEOs who went to Washington, D.C., and there was a blizzard, and they were there to talk about the effects of climate change. You remember that?
So we have a number of these, just like when they had the thing in Holland, and it was snowing on it. There's some cosmic humor involved. I'm not sure who's
so I just want to pull out these reports from time to time. So now we know that of the past 14 severe weather events, the climate change made them worse. And if bad weather is just a result of global warming and climate change, this is what we've been taught, even though in 2014...
And in a 2010 survey, more than a quarter of TV meteorologists called global warming a scam. But here's the thing. Global warming is not a weather forecast. And there's a big difference between climate and weather. For the record, Webster's dictionary defines weather as the state of the air and atmosphere at a particular time and place. For example, rain, snow, cloudiness, whatever's happening outside your window right now. On the other hand, climate is defined as the average of weather conditions, including temperature, wind, and precipitation that occurs over a period of years. So let me repeat. Climate is the average course of weather over a period of years. So when we talk about global warming, we're talking about the conditions of Earth's atmosphere over a long period of time. We're not talking about the weather outside. Confused?
Yeah.
Well, know that there are people and interests who want you to be confused. In part
like you.
Because of the political opposition to making the changes that would curb greenhouse gases and global warming. Think big oil, big coal, and other fossil fuel industries. There are people who cultivate global warming denialism.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't know. Now
the funniest moment. I just don't think we're ever going to experience anything so humorous.
Well, I have a lot of these.
I'm sure you can go, we can do a whole show. I'm
going. Well, there's another thing. I was looking at all of these clips that we have, and we could put together a dynamite climate change show just based on clips. You put a techno beat to that. Yeah, you put a techno beat to that, and you got a hit. Well, maybe not, but
you're giving me an idea.
I'll send you the archive. So Al Gore comes back on the stage. He might as well. I mean, there's a lot of crazy going on. We've got people running for president. So it's perfect time because the way I see it, this is timing on his part to jump into the media focus because he was a presidential candidate. He was vice president. And he has a message, so they'll pull him on to talk about all kinds of things. But, of course, he is really talking about climate change. And this is a very rare Ask John. Are you ready?
Uh-oh.
It's a two-part. I don't have a jingle for you. I don't think we have an Ask John jingle. But it's a two-parter. I'm going to stop this for 20 seconds and ask you a question.
We're still, on a global basis, putting 110 million tons of heat-trapping pollution into the atmosphere every single day. And the cumulative amount of man-made global warming pollution is now trapping as much extra heat energy in the atmosphere as would be released by 400,000.
400,000 what? And now again, the question for you, John C. Dvorak. That 110 million tons of pollution we're putting into the air every single day is equal to 400,000 what?
Volcanoes.
Would you like to try another guess? 400,000 every day, mind you, every day.
Atomic bombs.
My God, he's wins.
As would be released by 400,000 Hiroshima-class atomic bombs exploding every day.
Every day.
That's a conservative estimate, believe me.
And that's a conservative estimate.
Who buys this crap?
Listen to this.
Conservative estimate, believe me, if the deniers or denialists were able to pick apart that statistic, they would have.
I never heard this crazy statistic.
Heard it either.
I'm liking it.
They'd pick it apart if they could.
It's a conservative estimate. Most of it goes into the ocean, so when a hurricane like the one off the...
Oh, John, it goes into the oceans. Okay, well, hold on. What happens then?
East Coast here right now picks up energy from the warmer oceans. It enters a new category of threat. That's what happened with Superstorm Sandy. When the ice melts and the sea level rises, I was in Miami the last 3 days. There were fish swimming in the streets of Broward County.
Okay, so we released...
this guy's got to enter the race.
Conservative estimate, 400,000 Hiroshima-class nuclear bombs that are in the ocean, and because of that, the ice is melting, the seawater level rises, and there's fish swimming in Miami. There's fish on the streets, I tell you. We need to do something.
How can people keep a straight face with this guy?
Yeah, it's fantastic, man.
400,000 A-bombs a day.
Conservative estimate.
Conservative estimate.
It's conservative. Yeah, it's a conservative estimate. I'm telling you, there's really nothing going on.
Wow.
Hey, we got a note from Sir Atomic Rod. He says, thank you for the generous mention on show 766. Gentlemen, it is an exaggeration to describe the core size for a ship or sub-reactor as football-sized. We were trying to figure out how big it would be to actually use some nuclear power with the new modern reactors.
Right.
He says, it's possible to design functional cores that small, but the power output would only be a few tens of kilowatts. Might be enough for a small commercial building or grocery store. Without violating any rules, he says, I can tell you that the core of my 1960s vintage sub, which were 425 feet long, these are like the run silent, run deep jobbies. This is a hunt for Red October. It had a crew of 150, displaced 9,000 tons. The core could fit under my office desk.
There you go.
The core drove the subs for 14 to 16 years. Modern U.S. subs can run for, 33 years without refueling. I don't know how large their cores are, though. Sir Atomic Rod Adams, the Baronet of the Blue Ridge. And we appreciate that info, Sir Rod.
Well, I think this is all academic because we should just assume that the whole atomic thing is all 50s technology that's useless and it's going to irradiate, kill everybody. It's hopeless. It's no good.
Yeah.
Tear down the reactors. Tear them down.
Well, there was this approval for one new reactor I saw.
Oh, one whole
I know.
New one.
Woo, crazy. It's a crazy.
This is the most ridiculous, I think. It's just to take a technology which has now been taken to an extreme of efficiency and to just blow it off because you want wind power.
Well, because people have been programmed. They've been programmed into thinking that no one is... The actual people who are interested in technology and science have no desire, apparently, to go look at the science of modern nuclear reactors, breeder reactors. They have no desire. So you are, in fact, anti-science.
Yes.
Even though this is the definition of reusable energy, because the new reactors eat their own waste. No waste, no waste, no waste. Hold on a second, John. Let's go forward. Ooh, year 2030. We're in 2030. We're still talking about it.
To the gate, to the gate, to the climate gate.
Only now we're really doing something about it. Now, I've been paying attention to this new CNN division called 2 Degrees. We played a clip from that last time about, it's all about the global warming and stuff. And the title of this, although interestingly not really mentioned, and I'll just play a little bit of this clip. Does eating bugs help fight climate change?
Believe it or not, this could be the farm of the future. I'm standing in a warehouse on the side of the highway. We're not talking about cows or chickens. We're talking crickets. These aren't for your pets. These are for you and me to put in our mouths to eat.
And this follows the familiar format where, and you're seeing this everywhere. The format of the bugs meme is, boy, this is going to change our lives. It's going to save the world. And then you always have a cute girl doing the report, and she always winds up eating some bugs.
So this right here, this is a cricket farm.
Right.
They're in open cages.
Yeah.
This is not what I expected it would look like.
Were you thinking free range?
Yeah, free range cricket. When most people think of bugs, they think of a nuisance, not nutrients. Why is it so taboo here in the States?
It's not so much that it's taboo, it's just been unconsidered. There was the law in Maine that you couldn't feed prisoners lobster more than twice a week because it was considered inhumane.
Do you remember this? Was there ever a law that you couldn't feed lobster to inmates because it was considered inhumane?
I don't remember this.
And now people pay $30 to $50 a pound for it?
Now, this guy's an entrepreneur. He's like, hey, I'm going to get on this bug ban. He has a nice little setup, too. He's in Ohio.
He's probably an ichthyologist.
This looks very different than, the cattle farms that I drive by.
I mean, this is amazingly space efficient. You're using so many fewer resources to produce a pound of insects compared to a pound of soybeans or a pound of beef. Anything cold-blooded is always going to have an advantage in feed efficiency over something that's warm-blooded.
Oh, then we should eat Hillary Clinton. She's cold-blooded.
I definitely hear the chirping of the cricket.
Oh, yeah, right? I think it's very
tolerable.
Relaxing.
Right, no,
yeah,
like...
All right, so that goes on and on and on.
I love bugs! Bugs.
Just letting you know what's out there. They continue. Tastes like poop. And before I move to the second part of this segment, I live on the 15th floor here in the skyscraper, as you call it, John. How do crickets get up on the 15th floor? I have crickets on my balcony.
Really?
Yeah, well,
they can fly, a little bit.
15 stories?
Well, no.
Yeah, and Austin has a cricket problem around this time of year, and you can walk into a store, and there'll just be you'll see a black line against the wall, and it'll just be crickets in stores, just half dead, like. I'm sorry, half prepared, I should say. They're not half dead; they're half ready to eat.
I'm looking at Snopes, by the way, concerning that lobster tall tale.
Yeah.
It seems to be debatable.
Okay. Well, Snopes is debatable by itself.
Oh, yeah. I'm not going to say that Snopes is perfect.
Here we go. Yeah, I have a couple things I think will interest you. So first, the report that we brought to you, when did we do that? Did we do this on Thursday? Or maybe was it even a week ago about... the most recent ploy to get everyone to buy into what's going on in Paris it starts this week, I think. The IPCC, of course, we all have to be worried about climate change. I hadn't had this in a report yet, but CNN, of course, is happy to do it.
There are so many different things that can dampen your sex drive. You're tired, you have a headache, the kids are bugging you. And now here's another one to add to the list. Global warming. Woo! That's right. Climate change can kill your mojo. So researchers looked at really hot days and then looked forward 9 months. And what they found is fewer babies were born 9 months after those hot days. They defined really hot days as being over 80 degrees. Those hot days made couples feel, well, maybe not so hot. The impact was pretty sizable. In the United States, they found that the impact of one hot day meant 1,100 fewer births 9 months later.
I find it fascinating that they're combining this, because the study really was just about, hey, when it's warm, people don't seem to have as much sex. Okay, gee, never knew about this. But then just tie it into climate change. It's fabulous.
Now I think they made a huge blunder.
Hold on.
When you look at the whole United States, we have about 30 days a year where the temperature climbs above 80. However, as global warming takes its toll, it's predicted that we could have 90 days a year where the temperature climbs that high.
Mm-hmm.
That could mean eventually in the United States, 100,000 fewer births every year. And because of global warming, it's just getting hotter. Now, once the weather cooled off, couples did get back to coupling, but still it didn't make up for the decreases during the hot months. So it turns out global warming is not just bad for our oceans and our crops, it's also bad for our sex lives.
Who are the editors at that place? Let's go over 2 items.
Okay, it's CNN first. CNN.
One is kind of counterproductive for the left warmists to promote this because they're also promoting the lowering of the population. It's population control.
Right.
Thus, climate change should be good because it creates population control.
That is indeed a dichotomy. That makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Then the other thing is the logic. How is this true? And what would happen with these Muslims all going into Europe? Because they're already considered overpopulating their area. They have so many births. These Muslims' babies are cranking them out like there's no tomorrow.
How does that work? It's warm there.
It's 140 degrees at noon.
And lest we forget, we must remember that according to many academics, climate change is responsible for the problems in Syria.
Exactly.
Let me see. I'm sure I have.
And then if you want to go back to the 70s when they were all worked up, and which I always harp on, about the population growth in the world, they always were pointing the finger at Africa, which is generally hot.
I'm looking for one of those clips where we're talking about where someone said, maybe it was Bill Nye actually who said that. You remember that? He's like, Syria. Oh, yeah, no. The problems in Syria started with climate change. Surely you remember this.
I remember it now, yes. I don't know if it was Nye, but it was someone. It would be something he'd come up with. I don't know who's paying him, but it's a lot of money.
Who, Bill Nye?
Yeah.
Well, luckily, National Geographic, Nat Geo, is running a series of warnings by our friend, Bill Nye the Science Guy, now Bill Nye the Climate Guy, an electrical engineer who used to entertain kids with his fun little science projects, who is now the spokeshole for climate change.
We can't really fix climate change. We can mitigate it. We can get to work on it. We can spread it out. We can make things better. What we got to do is stop burning fossil fuels immediately, as soon as we possibly can.
Right away.
And then there's a strange effect that once we stop burning fossil fuels, the stuff that we put in the air is going to settle out and the world will get warmer.
Huh? Wait a minute. Let me see if I can.
Hoax clip?
No, I clipped this one myself. This is not a hoax clip. But he says once we stop burning fossil fuels, all of it immediately, right now, then it's going to get warmer, he says.
The stuff that we put in the air is going to settle out and the world will get warmer because the stuff is reflecting sunlight into space right now. When we stop producing it, the world's going to get warmer from that too. So we just got to be
talking about particulate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's confusing the way he talks about it.
The world's going to get warmer from that too. So we just got to be ready for it. We got to have ways to provide clean water for everybody and ways to store electricity that we generate renewably. And to you deniers out there, would you cut it out?
Cut it out, John.
We got stuff to do. We
got stuff to do.
We got solutions to come up with. We got energy to distribute. We got clean water to create. We got things to do.
We got to create clean water, John. We got stuff to do.
I hope you become like the people who quit smoking. There's no more raving anti-smoker than somebody who quit smoking recently. So why don't you deniers, we'll accept you. Deniers, quit denying and we can all get to work and change the world.
The science is in.
Science!
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's a little nutty, our boy Bill. Little nutty.
Thank you for listening to this No Agenda compilation. Feel free to copy and share this CD with others. For the latest No Agenda CD, visit noagendacd.com. And for the latest news analysis and deconstruction, please visit noagendashow.com or Google No Agenda.
How good is that?